Hexagons are the bestigons. Between their ceaseless uses in biology, chemistry, physics, the universe at both the macro and micro, beehives and eyes, Saturn, basalt, angles and tiles, trust me, hexagons are the bestigons. CGP Grey has an excellent video breaking down exactly why hexagons are the bestigons, but suffice it to say they are the true universal representation of effective simplicity. To properly portray something as complex as the mass extinction of millions of organisms and wiping over 90% of all life from a planet, reducing it to a monocultured meta meticulously manifesting more members, a hexagon is required. Hence, the HEXTINCTAGON. Within the HEXTINCTAGON, there are 3 C's and D's that make up the 3 M's of extinction. 1 C and 1 D are put into a level represented by yellow, orange, or red, and split across the hexagon. The colors go as such. Yellow is mini, orange is medium, and red is mass extinction. The more massive an extinction, the more of the others it may incorporate into its destructive deluge. Similar colors sit across from one another because they are oxymoronically opposite. The sisters and brothers of extinction cause or are caused by the other, but are still wildly different beasts unto themselves. Perhaps the most obvious way to lead to an extinction, mass or otherwise, is to kill a species. Culling, in this case, refers to Homo sapiens going into literal overkill when settling, colonizing, or extracting resources from an ecosystem. Many large animals who thrived thousands of years ago, and many more modern victims, are extinct due to the hunting from crafty humans. Jared Diamond, infamous documentarist, observed that he can't fathom why Australia's giants would have survived innumerable droughts in their tens of millions of years of Australian history than to have chosen to drop dead almost simultaneously, at least on a time scale of millions of years, precisely and just coincidentally when the first humans arrived. A more natural cousin to the cull, disease can be just as effective for stealthy species subtraction. Viral infections, as I'm sure we can all relate to in 2020, are non-living organisms that only seek to reproduce. They do not care if they kill off a species as long as someone can host them. Bacterial diseases generally are less massy wipey-outy, seeking to live in a perverse harmony with its host. Only when species jumping do bacteria turn vile. A keystone species holds an ecosystem together. They check and balance all other members of the habitat, being the top predator or an important prey. Indeed, the keystone species can range from Yellowstone's gray wolf to an Alaskan starfish found solely in Arctic tidal pools. When this species is removed, the ecosystem will collapse much like an arc without a central stone. Not only can this keystone species go extinct, but if it does, it will carry out disastrous aftermaths. Often, loggers and miners strip and decimate the land they wish to extract from. In doing so, animals lose their habitat. With loss of habitat comes loss of food, comes loss of life. Humans aren't the only cause for displacement. A fire can bore through a forest and wipe out 90% of livable land, or disease can spread amongst the trees and do the same, but our modern context proves how effective humans can be at ecological displacement. What is there to say besides any large enough shift in the climate can and will cause many of the earlier factors to culminate in extinction? Humans certainly are at fault for creating a heavy CO2-ridden atmosphere within the modern era, leading to our current projected 6th extinction. But like the rest, nature can be just as, if not more, destructive. North America, until relatively recently, was mostly underwater. However, with a climate shift from an era well before humans, the ocean receded and left many of the oceanic species to suffer. If they survived the initial parting of the seas, they were soon to find a new habitat that would not be too kind to them. From asteroids to hurricanes, a disaster can strike at random, without thought or emotion, and wipe species from the planet. The most obvious case is at the end of the dinosaurs 60 million years ago, when an asteroid 6 miles wide slammed into the Earth, starting a chain reaction with climate, displacement, collapse, disease, and culling that obliterated the biodiversity of Earth. By the time the last human dies, one or more of these triggers may have occurred to lambast our blue marble. Afterwards, we will have no say how the land evolves and changes, what species will rise to the top, how the planet will terraform or the atmosphere change and shift. All our discoveries and achievements wiped out by the shifting sands of time. However, as Kolbert observes in 6th Extinction, human ingenuity will outrun any disaster human ingenuity sets in motion. Our solutions to our own problems, should we ever decide to utilize our innate curiosity, perseverance, and frontal lobes, can solve any problem we throw at ourselves. Still, one day the last human will fade from this existence, and along with them, all ingenuity and creativity we put into the universe for as short or as long as we were around.